What if the thing you've been avoiding is the very thing that would change your life? What if resistance wasn't a red light but a green one, pointing you toward growth? And what if the comfort you crave is actually the cage that's keeping you stuck? Why do we always chase what's easy? Why do we run from the very challenges that could shape us into something greater? Maybe it's because our brains are wired for safety. Your mind wants predictability. It clings to routine. It whispers, stay where it's safe. But here's the raw truth. The comfort zone is a trap. It lulls you into stillness. It convinces you that safety is strength. But really, it's keeping you small, silent, and afraid. It's the reason you haven't stepped into the life you were created for. If you stay with me until the end of this message, something powerful will click. You'll see what most people never understand. The hardest things in life, the ones that make you uncomfortable, the ones that stretch you, are exactly what will set you free. Let's talk about the illusion of comfort. Society has sold us a lie. That life should be easy. That success should be painless. That struggle is something to avoid at all costs. But think about Ithavi. You ever met someone truly great who never suffered? Have you ever heard of a champion who didn't face obstacles? Of course not. Because comfort is an illusion. It promises happiness, but delivers stagnation. It offers peace, but robs you of strength. And the more you choose comfort, the more powerless you become, because every time you run from difficulty, you're training your brain to run from growth. And the excuses? Oh, they'll come fast. It's too hard. I'm too tired. Maybe tomorrow. But you already know tomorrow never comes for those who listen to fear. The only way to break free is to do exactly what your mind tells you not to do. Because resistance is a sign you're on the right path. Why does everything worthwhile feel so hard at first? Getting up early, pushing your body in the gym, learning something new, taking the first step toward your dream. Because resistance is part of the process. It's the weight you must lift if you want to grow. Picture a muscle. If you never challenge it, never push past, the burn it stays weak. Your willpower, your mindset, your identity work the same way. Growth only happens beyond the edge of comfort. But most people stop the moment they feel resistance. They think discomfort means turn back, when in truth, it means keep going. Resistance isn't rejection, it's transformation. And what about pain? Pain has been misunderstood. We're taught to run from it. But pain isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. It's the cost of transformation. Every time you push through struggle, every time you face what's uncomfortable, you are rewriting your identity. You are becoming someone who doesn't break when life gets hard. Someone who keeps moving forward, even when it hurts. Someone who refuses to be controlled by fear. Smooth transition to Trang 2. So the question is, will you keep running from discomfort? Or will you finally face it and realize it's been the path to your freedom all along? Remember what we just uncovered? That pain isn't your enemy, it's your greatest teacher. Now, let's go deeper into what that truly means for your growth. Think about the greatest people in history, their legacies carved not in comfort, but in fire. They didn't achieve greatness by avoiding pain. They achieved it because they endured it. They faced the fire and walked through it. They transformed pain into power and struggle into strength. And here's the truth. You can too. Right now, you stand at a crossroads. One direction leads to ease, familiarity, and comfort. The other? It's harder. It demands more. But it leads to real power, authentic confidence, and lasting fulfillment. Most people will never choose the hard road. They'll remain stuck in cycles of old habits, repeating the same excuses, living the same unsatisfying life. But you don't have to be most people. You can decide right now that from this moment on, you will stop fearing difficulty. You will no longer run from discomfort. Instead, you'll face it, use it, and allow it to shape you into something unstoppable. Because when you choose the hard path, life starts getting easier. Not because challenges disappear, but because you become stronger, more capable, more resilient. And eventually, you'll realize there was never anything to fear, only opportunities to grow. So the next time your mind whispers, quit, remember this: struggle is not your enemy. It is the key. The key to unlocking the strongest, truest version of yourself. But why? Why is struggle the way forward? Because the easy path, it weakens you. Sure, it feels good in the moment. It offers instant relief. It asks nothing of you. But here's what it never offers: growth. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you're making an invisible exchange. You trade progress for stagnation. You trade strength for softness. You trade the life you dream of for the shallow pleasure of now. And it happens slowly, subtly. One skipped workout, one delayed dream, one moment of fear that makes you press pause. Before you know it, you're in the same place, repeating the same excuses, watching the days slip away while life moves forward without you. This is the lie of instant gratification. Society tells you success should come fast, effort should be minimal, and if it feels hard, then maybe it's not for you. But that is a dangerous illusion. The easy path doesn't prepare you for life, it leaves you unprepared. Because life will get hard. It always does. And when it does, those who have trained in discomfort will rise, while those who chose ease will fall. Discomfort is not your curse. It is the price of greatness. Every challenge you face is an invitation, a chance to rise, to strengthen your character, to build the kind of person who doesn't fold under pressure, but rises through it. Now, let's be honest. There's a hidden cost to avoiding struggle. Take a moment. Look at those who always take the easy road. Do they look truly fulfilled? Do they walk with confidence and peace? Or do they look stuck, trapped in patterns of mediocrity, waiting for a life that never seems to arrive? The truth is simple. If you don't push yourself, life will. If you don't choose challenge, you'll be crushed by it when it finds you. Weakness is built through avoidance. Strength is built through action. The choice is yours. You can keep running, or you can turn around, face it, and break through. Because every time you conquer something hard, every mountain climbed, every fear faced, the next mountain becomes smaller. So now ask yourself, what did the strongest people in history do differently? What was their secret? Let's find out on the next. So when challenge comes, when resistance rises, remember, it's not a sign to retreat. It's a signal that growth is near. Now, let's dig deeper into why the hardest things shape the strongest people. Every battle you face builds something within you, something unshakable. And here's the remarkable truth. The very things that once felt impossible, over time, will feel almost effortless. Let's look at the science behind struggle. Struggle often feels like a burden, something to avoid. But in reality, it is the very trigger for growth. The human brain was designed not for ease, but for adaptation. It reshapes itself in response to challenges. Without friction, there is no spark. Without resistance, there is no change. When you face something difficult, whether physical, mental, or emotional, your brain undergoes an incredible process known as neuroplasticity. New neural connections are formed. Weakness begins to harden into strength. Your mindset, like a muscle, starts to grow. But here's the key. This only happens if you don't give up. Let's talk about the psychology of endurance. Why do most people fail? Not because they aren't capable, but because they stop too soon. The mind whispers that discomfort is dangerous, that struggle is a warning sign to turn back. But that's an illusion. In reality, science confirms, the more you endure, the more your threshold for difficulty expands. You become more resilient, more capable, more equipped. Think back to the first time you tried something truly hard. Maybe it was speaking in front of a crowd, running that first mile, or starting something new. At first, it felt overwhelming. Your thoughts screamed, "This is too much." But if you pushed past that moment, if you held on, you experienced something powerful. You adapted. What once felt unbearable slowly became manageable. This is the very process that builds champions. Not by avoiding hardship, but by embracing it. By understanding that pain doesn't mean stop, it means grow. Now let's talk about the truth behind strength. Strength is not something you're born with. It's not gifted. It's earned, built through moments of hardship when you choose not to quit. When you face challenges that demand you to level up, that's where strength is forged. Most people spend their lives dodging pain, avoiding discomfort. But those who lean into it, those who step into the fire, become unstoppable. They don't wait for life to get easier. They choose to become stronger. Because the truth is, life doesn't get easier. But you can become the kind of person who makes difficult things look easy, not because they are, but because you've trained for it. If you're willing to struggle, you're already ahead of those who never even begin. Pain is the price of greatness. Everyone wants strength. Everyone wants to feel proud of their life, to walk with confidence, to achieve something meaningful, but very few are willing to pay the cost. And make no mistake, the cost is pain. Pain is not a punishment. It is the entry fee to greatness. No one becomes truly strong without walking through hardship. Every person who has ever inspired you, every champion, leader, or hero has faced pain. Not once, but again and again. The difference is, they didn't run from it. They walked through it. And that brings us to the defining moment. The difference between those who win and those who quit. Pain becomes the breaking point. It's that moment where your body is screaming, your mind is tired, and everything inside says, I can't keep going. This is the fork in the road, the place where most people stop. But not the winners. Winners keep going. Not because they don't feel pain, but because they've made peace with it. They know that pain is temporary, but quitting? Quitting is forever. So what sets high achievers apart? It's not that they avoid pain, it's that they endure it again and again, training themselves to handle even greater challenges ahead. They understand that every time they push through discomfort, they're preparing themselves for even bigger battles to come. Meanwhile, the human mind naturally seeks the path of least resistance. It wants relief. It begs for escape when things get tough. But here's the truth. If you can resist that urge, you can keep going even when everything in you screams to stop, then you're already ahead of 99% of people. You're not just moving forward, you're transforming. Pain, contrary to what most believe, is not your enemy. It is a teacher. It reveals your weaknesses not to shame you, but to strengthen you. It shines a light on your limitations, not to confine you, but to invite you to rise above them. Yet most people spend their lives running from pain. They live in avoidance. And as a result, they remain stagnant, trapped in the same place year after year as life passes them by. But if you truly want to grow, to become something greater than you are today, you must change your relationship with pain. Don't fear to choose it. Don't run from it, embrace it. Because the greatest version of yourself is waiting just on the other side of that discomfort. You will never look back and regret the pain you endured for something meaningful, but you will regret walking away when it got difficult. Now, let's talk about fear. The fear of hard work. Your mind will lie to you. It will exaggerate the challenge before you even begin. It whispers, "This is too hard. You won't make it. You're not strong enough." And sadly, most people listen. They let fear call the shots. But here's the reality. Hard work is never as painful as your mind makes it seem. The real pain comes from avoiding it. The real suffering is knowing you could have done more, but didn't. And what's the hardest part of any difficult task? It's not the task itself, it's starting. Think about it. Before a workout, before you sit down to study, before you tackle that tough goal, there's hesitation, delay, excuse after excuse. But the moment you take action, everything begins to shift. Momentum kicks in. Your body adjusts. Your mind adapts. And suddenly, what once felt impossible starts to feel normal. This is the pattern of every hard thing in life. The hardest part is never the doing, it's the moment before, when fear battles action. But when you finally begin, you realize the truth. It's never as bad as you imagined. The real enemy wasn't the task, it was the fear you let grow in your mind. You see, the human brain is wired for survival, not for greatness. It always chooses comfort. It always looks for the exit. It tells you you're too tired, too weak, too unworthy. But those are just thoughts, not reality. Reality is what happens when you stop listening to that voice and start proving it wrong. Each time you act despite fear, you weaken its grip. Each time you move through resistance, you rewire your brain to work with you, not against you. Because at the end of the day, fear fades. Excuses fade. But the strength you build, that stays. And there's only one way to build that kind of strength. Do what your mind tells you is too hard. But here's the thing. Even when fear fades, motivation doesn't always last. So, how do you keep going when inspiration disappears? In the next section, we'll uncover the key that separates short bursts of effort from unstoppable consistency: discipline. If you depend on motivation alone, you will never be consistent. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes with your mood, your energy, your circumstances. But discipline is unshakable. It doesn't care whether you're tired, unmotivated, or uninspired. It doesn't wait for the right moment. It simply shows up. That's why discipline wins where motivation fails. The most successful people, the ones who rise above the rest, aren't always the smartest, the strongest, or the most talented. What they share is relentless discipline. They don't wait until they feel like doing the work. They do it anyway. They follow through regardless of emotion, because they understand that greatness isn't built during moments of excitement, but in the quiet, repetitive grind that no one sees. It's built in the early mornings when the world is still asleep. It's built in the late nights when everyone else has gone home. It's built in the silence when no one is clapping and no one is watching. That's the dividing line, the difference between those who dream and those who do. Most people let their feelings dictate their actions. They only push forward when they feel inspired. They only give their best when conditions are ideal. And so, they remain stuck, caught in an emotional loop of temporary effort and long-term disappointment. But discipline breaks the cycle. Discipline gives you control over your choices, your actions, your life. It becomes a solid foundation that doesn't shake when motivation fades or life gets hard. Because here's the hard truth. Motivation is weak, but discipline is unbreakable. And once you've built it, nothing, not doubt, not setbacks, not fatigue can stop you. Let's talk now about the real source of long-term success. The power of small wins. So many people believe success is about big, life-changing moments, a grand breakthrough, a giant leap, but that's a myth. True success is built on quiet victoriosity, daily decisions that no one notices, but that change everything over time. It's choosing to do the hard thing even when no one's watching. It's showing up one more time, when quitting would be easier. It's saying yes to effort and no to excuses, again and again. That's how greatness is born. Big goals often feel overwhelming, and that's exactly why so many people quit before they ever start. They see the mountain, the long, winding path from where they are to where they want to be, and it looks impossible. But mountains aren't climbed in a single step. They're conquered 1 foot at a time. 1 breath. 1 effort. 1 tiny act of courage. And here's the secret. Progress isn't about speed, it's about consistency. The person who moves slowly but never stops will always outperform the one who sprints for a while, then gives up. Success is simply this: small wins repeated daily. And every time you win the mental battle, even if it's just getting out of bed on time, finishing a task, resisting an excuse, you strengthen your belief in yourself. That belief, compounded over time, becomes unstoppable. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need to do everything all at once. You just need to do something every day. A little more effort, a little more discipline, a little more grit. Because all those small wins, they build momentum, they shape your mindset, and ultimately, they shape your destiny. So how do you keep pushing forward, even when progress feels slow and results seem far away? That's what we'll dive into next, because true transformation isn't just about action, it's about endurance. Small victories repeated every day will accumulate into an unstoppable force. And then, what once seemed impossible will become your new norm. One small win today, another tomorrow. That's how transformation begins quietly, gradually, and powerfully. Before you realize it, what once felt impossible starts to feel like second nature. The key? Keep moving forward. Even the smallest victories matter, especially when they're earned through hardship. Hardship builds mental toughness. While most people see hardship as a burden, something to escape from or avoid, those who understand true growth see it for what it really is: a gift. Not a comfortable one, not a pleasant one, but a necessary one. Because every challenge you face is an opportunity. An opportunity to grow, to become stronger, to test the limits of your own spirit. Every obstacle is a mirror that reflects what you're truly made of. Will you run from it, or will you rise? When you stand your ground and face adversity head on, you prove something crucial, not to the world, but to yourself. That your strength isn't defined by circumstances. That no setback, no difficulty, no pain has the power to break you unless you let it. Think back to the hardest moments of your life. Those days that tested your limits, when it felt like everything was unraveling, when the pressure was unbearable. Did those moments destroy you? Or did they shape you? You're still here. You survived. And because of that, you are stronger now than you've ever been. That's where mental toughness is forged, not in ease, but in resistance. Each time you endure hardship and keep going, your mind evolves. It rewires itself to understand that pain is fleeting, that fear is often just noise, that you are capable of far more than you once believed. With every trial, your mental threshold increases. You learn to carry more. You learn to bend without breaking. But sadly, most people don't make it that far. They fold at the first sign of discomfort. They retreat the moment things get hard. They run back to the comfort zone because it's easy, because it's familiar. And that's exactly why they stay the same. But those who refuse to retreat, the ones who face the storm instead of running from it, they become unshakable. They become warriors. Every setback makes them wiser. Every obstacle builds their armor. They don't see pain as punishment. They see it as preparation. Because the greater the struggle, the greater the reward. When you weather the storm, you don't just survive. You emerge stronger, sharper, unstoppable. True growth always begins where comfort ends. The single most powerful thing you can do for your future is to step outside your comfort zone. Yet, ironically, it's also the thing most people fear the most. Why? Because it's unknown. It's uncertain. It's scary. But here's the paradox. That very discomfort, that tightness in your chest, that nervous flutter in your stomach, that is not a warning to stop. It's a signal that you're about to grow. Each time you walk away from comfort and face something new, something difficult, you stretch your limits. You face fears you've never dared to face before. And every fear you conquer expands your world. Growth never happens when things are easy. It doesn't happen when life feels convenient or predictable. It happens when you are forced to stretch, when you step up, even when everything in you wants to sit back down. Comfort is where your limits are formed. Discomfort is where your limits are shattered. You cannot build new strength if you stay where it's easy. You can't expand your capacity if you avoid what's hard. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is your teacher whispering, "You are capable of more than this." And you are. Every time you face what's uncomfortable, you grow. Every time you take one more step despite the fear, you evolve. You break through invisible barriers. You expand your potential. But where does this inner strength truly come from? How do you keep moving forward when life feels overwhelming? To answer that, we must turn to the one habit that fuels the soul when the body feels weak: prayer. Each time you face discomfort, you grow. You become stronger, more capable, more confident. And with every step forward, you move further away from the person you were yesterday toward the person you're meant to become. But that transformation only happens if you stop running from difficulty and start leaning into it. Because here's the truth. The limits you think you have, they're not real. They're self-imposed boundaries constructed from fear, doubt, or past failures. They're the stories you've told yourself about what you can or cannot do. But every time you choose discomfort over safety, you chip away at those stories. You dismantle the lies. You prove that your limits are not fixed, they're flexible. They're meant to be broken. Real growth begins when you stop chasing comfort and start chasing progress. When you begin to see discomfort, not as a warning sign to retreat, but as a powerful indicator that you're advancing, that you're pushing past old patterns and stepping into the unknown. And the unknown, that's where greatness lives. The power of delayed gratification. In today's world of speed-fast food, instant likes, binge-worthy entertainment, it's easy to forget one of the oldest, most powerful truths. Success takes time. Greatness is never instant. It requires patience, sacrifice, and the ability to resist what feels good now for what will feel incredible later. Delayed gratification is not about denying yourself forever. It's about being wise enough to trade momentary pleasure for long-term fulfillment. It's saying, no, not now, so that one day you can say, yes, I made it. At first, this path feels unnatural. It feels hard. While others are relaxing, indulging, or celebrating prematurely, you're still grinding. You're still building. You're still working towards something greater. But this is where real strength is born. Instant gratification versus true fulfillment. Yes, instant gratification feels good. The rush of an easy win. The comfort of choosing rest over effort. But the truth? That feeling fades fast. And when it does, it leaves behind a deeper void. You crave more, but you feel less. True fulfillment, however, is different. It runs deep. It sticks with you. It's earned. It's the reward that comes after you've resisted shortcuts, put in the hard work, and stayed committed even when nobody was watching. The person who chooses discipline over distraction, persistence over pleasure, will always find deeper satisfaction. Because they didn't just stumble into success, they built it. And it means something. Building a future you can be proud of. Everything you do today is shaping your tomorrow. Each time you show up when it's hard, when you push through discomfort, you're building more than just muscle or skill, you're building your future. A future you'll look back on with pride. A future where you won't just admire how far you've come. You'll respect the person you had to become to get there. And make no mistake, delayed gratification is one of life's greatest tests. It challenges you to look beyond the moment, to rise above the noise, and to stay focused on the bigger picture. The strongest individuals, they master this. They learn to delay pleasure for a purpose. And they're the ones who reach the heights others only dream of. The role of sacrifice in success. Here's an uncomfortable truth. There is no success without sacrifice. That's the part no one likes to talk about. But every great achievement stands on the foundation of something that was given up. If you want to achieve something meaningful, something extraordinary, you have to let go of the things that are keeping you small. Let go of the distractions. Let go of the bad habits. Let go of the comforts that are costing you your potential. And when you begin to see sacrifice, not as loss, but as investment, something powerful shifts within you, because that's when you stop surviving and start rising. And on that journey, there's one crucial key you'll need to carry with you every step of the way: obedience. When you make sacrifices, giving up easy pleasures, facing discomfort and challenges, you are laying the foundation for a deeper, more secure future. And for that to happen, you must understand the nature of sacrifice. Sacrifice is not about loss. It's about choosing what truly matters over what merely feels good in the moment. It's about trading fleeting pleasure for long-term fulfillment. And every time you say no to ease and yes to effort, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. To sacrifice means to rise above comfort. It means waking up early when everyone else is sleeping. It means staying in when others go out. It means investing your energy into something that may not pay off right away, but will absolutely shape your tomorrow. This is the fuel of transformation. Sacrifice builds momentum, the time you spend studying instead of scrolling, The hours you spend working when others are relaxing. The discipline to train when no one is watching. Those moments might feel draining at first, but they're building something inside you. They're forming a foundation of discipline, grit, and commitment that success can stand on. Every ounce of energy you give today becomes a brick in the house of your future. People who achieve greatness don't rely on luck. They don't just get lucky. They trade comfort for consistency. They give up distractions so they can focus. They miss parties, skip trends, and say no to what's easy because they've said yes to something far greater. Short-term sacrifice, lifetime rewards. It's easy to look at someone successful and think, they have it all. But what you don't see are the silent years of sacrifice behind the scenes. The early mornings no one clapped for. The lonely nights spent working on a dream. The painful doubts they pushed through alone. Yes, the sacrifice is hard, but it is temporary. And the reward? That lasts a lifetime. Because when you look back, you'll realize those uncomfortable choices were the ones that made all the difference. They forged you. They shaped the very success you're standing on. Success doesn't come to those who wait for inspiration. It comes to those who build it brick by brick with sweat, sacrifice, and resolve. Every hard choice you make today becomes the solid ground you'll stand on tomorrow. The unseen benefits of struggle. Now let's talk about something even deeper. Struggle isn't just about growing muscle or sharpening your mind. It's about transformation at the core of who you are. When you lean into difficulty, when you stare adversity in the face and keep going, something within you shifts. You begin to understand yourself in ways you never did before. You gain clarity, perspective, and inner strength. You develop not just toughness, but resilience. Because real resilience doesn't come from comfort. It's forged in fire. It comes from those moments when life knocks you down, and you get back up again, not just once, but every time. It's not the smartest, the strongest, or the luckiest who rise to the top. It's the ones who refuse to stay down. And with each challenge endured, you earn something that no school or book can give you. Wisdom. Wisdom through experience. You see, experience is life's greatest teacher, and hardship is its most effective lesson. You learn the most, not when life is easy, but when life is hard. You learn what you're capable of. You learn what really matters. You learn how to keep going, even when everything inside you says stop. And those lessons, they don't fade. They shape your thinking. They influence your values. They guide your decisions for years to come. Confidence through challenge. Confidence doesn't come from comfort. It doesn't grow in ease. It is born in the face of adversity and strengthened every time you conquer what once scared you. Every challenge you overcome is like armor added to your spirit. And with each battle, you win, no matter how small you grow, more certain that you can handle whatever comes next. True confidence isn't loud. It doesn't need to boast. It's that quiet voice inside that says, I've been through worse. I can get through this too. It's the memory of every struggle you faced and overcame, echoing back at you when fear tries to creep in. And here's what's powerful. The more challenges you face, the more you believe in yourself. And that belief becomes unstoppable momentum. You begin to approach problems not with fear but with assurance, because deep down you know you've survived before, and you'll do it again. The power of consistency. Now let's talk about one of the most underrated forces in personal growth: consistency. Consistency means showing up, not just on the good days, but especially on the hard ones. It means putting in the work, even when you don't see instant results. Even when it feels repetitive, boring, or unnoticed, because you trust the process. Every small step, every tiny effort, every time you choose discipline over distraction, it stacks. And over time, those small moments compound into massive breakthroughs. So how does consistency beat talent? Talent might give you a head start, but consistency keeps you in the race when talent loses interest. Anyone can shine for a moment, but only a few can shine day after day, especially when no one is watching. Consistency is what transforms average into excellent. It's the muscle you build by doing the work even when motivation disappears. And ironically, it's not motivation that leads to results, it's results that fuel motivation. But you only get there if you stay the course. The journey is the destination. Too often, people obsess over the end result. They want the finish line, the applause, the achievement. But the real gold? It's buried in the grind, in the process, in the everyday sweat that no one sees. Because once you fall in love with the journey once, you find joy in becoming, not just achieving, you'll stop chasing and start building. Every day becomes meaningful. Every effort becomes a step in the story you're writing. The truth is, the long-term payoff is always worth it. Consistency might feel slow. It might feel like you're treading water at times. But those who stick with it, they're the ones who get the breakthrough. They're the ones who rise when others give up. Because dreams aren't achieved in one big leap. They're built day by day, choice by choice, action by action. Building a legacy through effort. Life is short, moments pass quickly. But the legacy you leave, that can echo for generations. And what builds that legacy is not one grand moment, it's the steady accumulation of effort over time. It's who you become through the process. It's what you give, what you endure, and what you create through your discipline. So keep showing up, keep pressing forward, because each step you take isn't just shaping your present, it's crafting the legacy your future self will be proud to carry. And that leads us to the final truth that ties it all together. When you take the long, steady steps, every day, your actions begin to resonate. Not just in the present, but in the future. That's how a legacy is made, not in one brilliant moment, but in the countless quiet decisions you make every day. Every action, every decision, it all matters. Each time you decide to keep going when it's hard, each time you choose discipline over comfort, you are laying another brick in the foundation of your legacy. You're not just working for success today, you're crafting a life that will outlast you, and that's something powerful. Your legacy isn't built on fleeting moments of brilliance, or luck, or talent alone. It's carved from relentless effort, the kind that shows up when no one else does. It's built on the quiet sacrifices you make when the world is sleeping, the early mornings, the late nights, and the hard choices you didn't back down from. Think for a moment. What story do you want to leave behind? Will it be a story of resilience and courage, a tale of someone who rose every time they were knocked down, who kept climbing when the mountain grew steeper? Or will it be a whisper of what could have been, of goals half finished, of strength never tested, of a life lived just short of full potential? The choice is always in your hands. Every decision you make, big or small, contributes to the story that will be told when you're gone. The legacy you leave isn't written someday in the future. It's being written right now, with how you spend your time, how you treat others, how you show up for yourself. Sure, it's easy to get distracted. Comfort is tempting. So is convenience. But remember, the world won't remember how often you scrolled or slept in. It will remember the impact you made, the example you set, the strength you displayed. And here's the truth that most people miss. Legacy is built in the ordinary. It's not the grand moments that define us. It's the daily, unseen efforts that no one applauds. It's what you do when no one's watching. It's how you act when things get hard. That's what leaves a mark. Picture yourself 10, 20, 30 years from now. Looking back, what do you want to see? A life full of effort, of progress, of purpose, or one filled with regret over chances not taken and potential left untouched? Because the future you, the wiser, older version, will look back and either thank you or wish you had tried harder.